And it's the same like if you read a book today that you read 5 years ago, right? You're going to get things out of it that you didn't notice 5 years ago, right? It's because you're a different person now. So the other beautiful thing about the book is someone may read it in 50 years, right? It's out there. You're putting that ripple into the universe, with whatever your intention is. So I believe it's incredibly powerful. It's that expression, it's that energy, it's that creation, and it's you. You're making an imprint on the world with your uniqueness.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have another great author. If you want to meet great people, the best way to do this, start a podcast and invite a bunch of great, amazing authors on to chat about their journey as authors and hear about their books. You're going to learn so much by just creating a podcast. So if you're thinking, hey, Dave, this looks like fun. Hey, I get to talk to Dwight today. Like, come on, this is amazing. He's on my show. We get to hear about his journey and you get to fall in love with another great author. Dwight Dale Miller is here from dwightdalemiller.com is the website. And Dwight, glad to have you here on Living the Next Chapter. Welcome.
Thank you, Dave. I'm really excited to be here.
It's exciting. Okay, so for those listening, Dwight, where are you in our great big world?
I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, which is very close to the Great Smoky National Park. So I'm in the mountains and forests here.
Awesome. That's great. And your author journey, Dwight, how did all this start for you? Like, here we are, you're a published author, you're out there talking about books and your journey as an author, but there was a point in time when maybe writing a book or becoming an author wasn't really front of mind for you. Take us back to that and what's happened? How did you get here?
That's a great question, Dave. And I want everyone to know that you can write a book. It's not as hard as it seems. I know it's very daunting. And for me, I'd always thought about writing a book, but my mind told me it would be a waste of time. No one would read it, right? All the excuses our mind, I call it our monkey mind, makes up for us, right? And I went through a big transition in my life around 2009, 2010. And I like to say life kind of brought me to my knees, okay? My dad was dying of cancer. My pregnant wife, we had separated and then she took off. So my son was kind of taken from me. And I had 3 little girls there. So I was kind of stuck as far as not being able to move. And it was just a really hard time. And then I attracted a car accident because my mental and emotional suffering had to come into the body. So I had a nice little car accident and sciatica. So I went through all this, to make the long story short, Dave. And I said, I've done the 2.2 kids. I've gone to school. I did well in school. I had a good job, right? The things society kind of programs us to do, at least in the US. And I decided that didn't work for me. Okay. I literally threw it all in the garbage and I said, I'm going to follow my heart and I'm going to do what I want to do. And one of the first things I decided to do was to write my book. Okay. And I'm saying I'm going to write my book no matter what, right? Because you can have the fears, you can have the expectations of perfection and the negative things your mind might tell you, and you can decide to do it anyway, right? And that's what I did, and other things. So it all started in that moment where I really made a decision, and now I've got 5 books on Amazon. I have 2 manuscripts I'm looking for a publisher for because I've never really looked for a publisher. And so I'm helping all kinds of people. And it all started back then.
Wow. Okay, so tell us about the general themes of what you're writing about so that we kind of have a sense of your focus as an author. I'm looking on your website as we chat. Self-help books. Is that kind of your genre, your path? Yeah.
Currently, yes, I'm really deep into, I'll call it spiritual self-help, where it's really about empowerment. Okay. My first book was an urban fantasy, but along with me making those big life changes, I became spiritual at that time, and I started learning different alternative healing modalities. And if you like read my books, you can see the evolution. Like my books change as I changed, right? And I've created my own healing modality. Now I'm doing really the coolest healing that I'm aware of. I don't know anyone else who's doing what I'm doing, but I really believe in empowering people. Like we're so powerful. Yet like my example where my mind wasn't allowing me to, or was putting me down or discouraging me from being an author, right? When you learn to kind of master your thoughts and then your subconscious and your emotions and your energy, and there's a spiritual component as well, you're so powerful. There's nothing that can hold you back. Once you align your power, you get it out of the negative aspects and all into the positive aspects. Okay. So my books right now, they are on healing and really empowerment. The last book is called The Formula for Lasting Happiness. Okay.
Yeah.
In my healing work, working with people, I realized that most of us really aren't happy. And I'm trying to fix that.
one reader at a time. I love this.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I kind of get the sense from when I talk to people just day to day, Dwight, that there's a lot of people just kind of living in autopilot. They're just kind of like, on cruise control in your car where you can just set it and then you take your feet off the pedals and you just one thing, you just kind of zone out in life. You just kind of do the day to day and you really have no plan. You really have no purpose. And you just kind of do the thing, and you just like a whole week goes by and you're like, wow, what did I accomplish this week? How am I better than I was last week? And I haven't seen any progress. Does your books kind of help us with that autopilot cruise control mentality where we actually then define our purpose and work towards a goal?
That's very well said. And the answer is yes, right? And just like you explained, like there's one talk I did on the movie Groundhog Day.
I love that movie.
Right. And what you're explaining is like, it's the subconscious, right? It's literally these programs that keep running all the time. And I like one of the things I like to say, and this came out when I was talking to a man at an event I was working one day. I said, if you want to feel alive, okay, first you have to feel, right? We're also, in many ways, our society here, we're emotionally repressed. In my generation, we didn't talk about emotions, especially us guys, didn't show emotions, right? That also has big effects on our health and every other aspect of our lives. But you really got to start asking yourself questions like, what is life about? And have you ever tried to make someone else happy, Dave?
Sometimes it's like pushing water up a hill, but yeah, not easy to do at all times.
Right. It usually doesn't work out too well. So I always ask people this question, and then I say, well, who's going to make you happy? Okay. And there's also this other belief system that's popular, and that's like doing things for yourself is selfish. Okay.
Yeah.
But self-love is not selfish. And only you are really going to make yourself happy. Okay. So when I talk about empowerment, I talk a lot about being in the heart instead of the mind. You're not going to think happy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us, this is going all the time and it's dominating everything. Right. And especially today in this world with the cell phones and the technology, we're kind of addicted to being stimulated all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Especially the kids, like all my children, they're wired in to some degree. And you've got to really learn to step back from that, whether it's meditation or being in nature or just something that brings you joy, going back to what maybe you did when you were a little boy or girl, right? When life was simple. Most of us were happy back then. when we were little. And at some point, all these expectations and perceptions and pressures, you get to where we are now, and most of us aren't happy. So the journey for my clients is usually just awareness, starting to ask those questions like, what is my purpose? What does make me excited? What makes me feel fulfilled? Like, where do I find meaning in all this craziness that we live in, right?
Yeah. And I guess to some degree, I know here in Canada, the pandemic really made everybody change. Like, all their routine was out the window. Everything that was normal about driving into work, sitting in big meetings and in the office, all that stuff changed, and people were then forced to work from home and be doing Zoom like we're doing. And, that personal connection is lost. Friendships are strained. You're talking about getting together with your friends and finally getting together to do something as a group. All those things were taken away from us. And I'm sure that's had an impact. And you've seen it through your clients and who you've been working with. There's just a different approach to how we do life now as we try to navigate the new normal. So for those that are kind of struggling in that area, how do your books help in that context? And how does working with somebody like you, giving direction to them, kind of give them some stability as they try to find their new path after all the things we've been through?
Well, first of all, right, it's way easier to see things in someone else, right, than it is ourselves typically.
Yeah.
So it helps to work with someone like a coach or a healer. I'm kind of both. It all starts with awareness. I like everyone to start learning to be in their heart and to be present and to ask these powerful questions. And I can walk people through visualizations or exercises to really help them find what they're missing, what they are excited about. Because some people, they literally don't have joy in their lives, right? And you've got to ignite that spark again. There's infinite possibilities in life. So when you're here, like, what's going to make me happy? Ultimately, you discover you have two voices. I like the old cartoons where you had an angel on one shoulder and something else on the other one.
Yep.
I'm like, well, this is the heart, right? Which is love, happiness, joy, peace, harmony. And then you have this, which is something else, right? We're so hard on ourselves. So you've got two voices. So now you get to choose which one you're going to listen to. Okay. Are you going to choose to love yourself and be kind to yourself and choose things that make you happy? Or are you going to listen to this and all the expectations and programs? Okay.
Right.
And once you're aware of what's driving your behavior and your perception, you can literally delete what's in your subconscious. I can help people do that. Emotional experiences, whether it's trauma or just strong emotional experiences, I can help them release that energy, okay, where it literally doesn't affect you anymore. And this is something I do. I have group programs where obviously it's a group Zoom call. I also work one-on-one with people, whether it's coaching or if they need a healing session, I do that. And obviously the books. The A Soul's Perspective, this is 2 books ago.
Yeah.
It talks about the subconscious. Because I had gone to all these healing modality trainings, and I look at the healers, and I'm like, they need healing.
Yeah.
Healers are sick, okay?
Yeah.
And I knew I was missing something. I was trained in several different modalities. And eventually I connected with a master healer in Vancouver, BC. Been doing work over 30 years. And he really taught me in depth about the subconscious and emotions and energy. So that kind of spawned that book. Most of what affects us, like our physical body, symptoms in the body, aches and pains, is emotions. Like if someone feels stressed, they might get tight neck and shoulder muscles. Okay. Yeah. That's the easiest example. So imagine what stronger emotions do, or what emotions that have been running for a long period of time can do. Okay. Traditional Chinese medicine, they mapped emotions to every organ of the body thousands of years ago. So this isn't something new.
Yeah.
It's just kind of faded from our awareness in the paradigm we live in, the medical and healthcare paradigm, right?
Hmm.
It's really based on what we can see and,
Yeah.
and sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Not treating treating the symptoms, but not treating the source.
Exactly.
This is what's happening a lot, right? You have pain, well, here's some medicine. Next, like, wait a minute, what about just fixing the problem instead of just numbing the pain, right?
Right. And this goes into how powerful we really are. If you can feel stress and create those symptoms in your body, then you have the power to undo it. Okay. And I don't care what the symptoms are in the body, I believe you can undo it. Okay. I'm very good with pain. Pain is one of the easiest things for people to release. And it could be in one session or two sessions. And that's really starts to open people's eyes. They could have chronic pain for 10 years and they just talk to me on a Zoom call and it may go away. It'll almost always significantly reduce on a call.
Yeah. So the formula for lasting happiness, what was the idea, the genesis for this book? How did this come into your world? How did you know that you were the author to write this?
This book, honestly, it was given to me. I mean, I believe they're all given to me, but I literally had not been planning on writing a book. I woke up one morning in September of 21 and I said, "Oh, you want me to write this book?" And I said, "Okay, I'll write it." And I released the book in February, so
Wow.
5 months. And I moved across the country during that time. So it was really given to me. Like most self-help books, right? In the paradigm we're in, it's very mental. Oh, think positive, have positive affirmations, and do this, do that, do this, do that, right? This book is totally different. It's step one is be in your heart, right? And I teach people how to get out of their heads because most of us are really busy here. And I have a degree in finance and was a CPA. I used to analyze numbers for a living. So I was very mental. If I can shift, anyone can shift. Okay. So step one is that shift. I have a quick little process to shift. And then step two is self-love. Okay. You're not going to think yourself into love and happiness. You've got to feel it and ask yourself some powerful questions. Okay. And there's a mirror exercise in there where you can release things that come up. Again, if you can manifest it, you can unmanifest the negatives. So I teach my clients different ways to release their energy and their blocks, whether it's emotions, beliefs, subconscious patterns. This is how powerful you are, Dave. We do everything to ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's about, I believe life is showing you everything you need to see to resolve within yourself. Okay. So basically, you've got 7-8 billion people in their own little reality bubbles. They're perceiving and manifesting exactly what they need to, become a better Dave and Dwight, basically. And a lot of it is about how does that make you feel? Again, it's going to the emotions. Let's just say you have an experience and you're feeling resentment, okay? What that is probably showing you is that you have past experiences that made you feel resentment and you haven't resolved those yet. Whether you look at it as a lesson learned, or I like to see it as energy that's still in your field, like that makes an imprint on you and your energy and subconscious when it happens, these strong experiences. And you just need to go in and release it. I'll say, choose to love yourself and let it go. Because it's literally energetic weights or subconscious weights or negative labels or self-perceptions we've made that we're carrying around.
Yeah.
And you can literally just let it go.
Yeah. That's baggage that we carry with us every day. Right. Yeah. Somebody told me an example. They said, if you hold your hand out and I put like an apple in your hand and you close your hand around the apple, you are now no longer able to accept another apple because your hand is closed. So if you open your hand, somebody might take the apple that I just gave you, which is fine, but then that opens your hands to something else that could also be given back to you. So don't clasp onto things and hold on to them with all of your might. Keep your hands open. Allow people to give and take, and you never know what you're going to be able to do to help somebody in the process. So that whole just being open and being that type of person is helpful.
Yep, I love that. Also, I like nature, so I'll talk about it in terms of water. Like energy is like water. It's supposed to flow, right? And like acupuncture, it's aware of energy. I'm aware of like the chakras and Dantian, like different Eastern philosophies. Again, they had figured out a lot of these things thousands of years ago. When water stops flowing, right, it gets stagnant and then bad things can happen. It's the same thing with your energy flow. And these negative emotions, they create blocks in our energy flow. That's really all it is.
Yeah. It's great. Now, you have a very different style of writing compared to some of the other authors that have been on my podcast. Can we talk a little bit about your journey as an author? What do you do different than some of the other authors that you've heard, or some of the popular directions for authors about how to write a book? Your approach is a little different. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's totally different. Thank you for asking. And I will say for nonfiction, you do have to be a little bit structured, because I did write 1 Hour to Amazing. It was a self-help book on natural health and fitness. So that was kind of more nonfiction self-help. Okay. Like I reference studies and things like that. So that is a more mental type of writing. But if you're writing, most of what I write now, it's more spiritual self-help, or I've written a novel and an urban fantasy. So most of what I've written, I don't outline anything. Okay. And I did meet the perfect mentor for me. His name is Tom Bird. Okay. Like the bird with wings.
Yeah.
He's based in Sedona. He does write your book in a weekend retreats. Okay. So I'm totally plugging Tom here, because I went probably like 7 or 8 of his retreats.
Hi, Tom. We're talking about you. Yeah.
90% of the people that go to his retreats leave with a draft of their manuscript in a 3-day weekend. And they're long days. When your mind gets tired, it kind of goes to the side and you can just channel. Like when you're in the flow, like writers, when you write, like you're just cranking it out, Tom gets you in this flow, right? And it's kind of how I'm living life now, right? I'm not mental, I'm here. So I don't have writer's block, Dave. There's no such thing for me. It's hard for me to even conceive having writer's block. It's more like, how do I limit all the things I'm passionate about writing about, right? There's not enough time, because I could put out a book a month if I had the time and was inspired to do so, right?
Yeah.
It's not hard to write a book.
It's like shutting a door on a windy day. You're trying to stop all these thoughts. Let me just finish this chapter, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 manuscripts I'm shopping right now. I'm pretty sure I know what the next book is, right?
Wow.
After that. So it's like, it's all good. So like when I'm in the flow, I'm writing 1,500 words per hour. Okay. So
wow.
In 20 hours, right? That's 30,000 words. That's one of my recent books. They're about that size. You can easily do it in a weekend. Okay. 20 hours over a weekend. The women tend to write faster. I think they're just wired a little different sometimes. Yeah. I've seen them write 2,500 to 3,000 words per hour.
Wow.
It's amazing. Okay. So just get out of your mind, forget all the reasons, all the things you're scared about, who might read the book, what will people think of me, right? The first person you write your book for is who, Dave?
Well, I would my first response is for myself, but I'm thinking as well the audience at the same time. It's kind of a balance, wouldn't it be?
Again, I'm about self-love. Like,
Right.
you're definitely writing your book for you. It's an
Yeah.
expression. It's one of the greatest expressions, right?
Yeah.
And it takes courage to put yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, they're hesitating because they're like, well, what will people think when they read it? Okay. Well, they like, and again, this is the mind. Your heart's not thinking that, or feeling that. Your heart wants to express and be you and help people and get the word out and create. Okay. So you have a choice. So Tom's process was great. He has like a soundtrack he does that kind of helps you be in the zone. And it really clicked with me because I had started my book probably a year and a half before I met him. And I had written a lot, but once I met him, it's like, phew. And once you do the first book, it's like the rest are a piece of cake, It's just overcoming the obstacles, and now you can do it. And now you're an author. And honestly, it doesn't matter who reads your book or what they think. I mean, yes, it's nice, but first do it for yourself. Okay. And focus on all the other things later. And if you set an intention, right? I'm very intentional with everything I do. Of course, I set an intention to be of service, whether it's a book or a session or a class or a talk, right? Before I came on here, I set the intention. I want to be guided as to what to say and how to say it, because I want to connect with people, because everyone, they're listening for a reason. They didn't just stumble onto this podcast and say, this looks interesting, right? There's a reason you're listening. There's probably something in here people need to hear for themselves.
Yeah. It's great. I think we can all live with better intentions and focusing on what we not only can get from this world, but what we can give as well. That's the other thing I see a lot of is people pursuing something because they want something in return, but not realizing that in the process of writing your book or sharing your story, you can help somebody as well. So it's all about giving that back to people without any assumptions of what you're going to get in return, but just giving, right? Back to the open hand thing, right? Where you're just giving. You're writing these books, you're giving to people, and you may never hear from them, but their life could be drastically different from reading your book. That, it'd be great to hear from them. And for everyone, if you do buy Dwight's books, please leave them a review, because I love people to know more about what Dwight's writing. But you sometimes don't even know the impact of what you're doing in this world. But that shouldn't stop you from sharing your story.
100%. I think if you're writing for yourself first, right, now you're being genuine, right? You're not trying to guess on what other people might want or need. There's a reason you're feeling inspired to do what you're going to do. And I'm a big believer in just going with that.
It's not like chasing a trend, what's popular today on Google, and I'm going to write about that. It's coming from you. It's coming from who you are and what you know in this moment. And the beautiful thing as human beings is we don't know what we don't know. So we're always learning and growing, and who we are today is very different than who we were even 10 years ago. So our path is different. Our thoughts are different. So even if we look back at our books, our writing is different. There's the things about us that have changed in our journey. So just understand that even today, you may think you're at the pinnacle of your writing career as an author, but you're going to get better. Hopefully, you're going to improve and you're going to get better at what you do. And you're going to look back at this version of yourself and go, wow, I needed to learn so much more, experience so much more. Right?
Yeah, well said. And it's the same like if you read a book today that you read 5 years ago, right? You're going to get things out of it that you didn't notice 5 years ago, right? It's because you're a different person now.
Yeah.
So the other beautiful thing about the book is someone may read it in 50 years, right? It's out there. You're putting that ripple into the universe, with whatever your intention is. So I believe it's incredibly powerful. It's that expression, it's that energy, it's that creation, and it's you. You're making an imprint on the world with your uniqueness.
So going back to your job where it was all mental, sitting in an office, crunching numbers, doing your thing, what would you like to go, if you could walk into your office back in the day, pull up a chair, sit across the table from yourself and go, there's so much more coming for you, like in the future. And there's the phone's ringing, there's the computer's going, there's paper stacks on your desk, there's a half-drank cup of coffee, and you're like, you're sitting there talking to yourself. Was there some of the kind of the message you would love to go back into the office and say to yourself about what could happen in your future?
It's about what we were talking about before, right? It's like you're a gerbil or a hamster on the wheel. You need to get off the wheel and start asking, like, what do I really want in life? Like, if I have a bucket list, or let's make it simple, what experiences would I really like to have in the next year or 3 years that make my heart sing? Okay.
Yeah.
Start with that. You got to start living at some point. Otherwise, you're on the hamster wheel till you're 65 and you retire and you have a heart attack or something, right?
Yeah.
We just don't live. You got to start living. It's one of the things I love about when I was in Europe. I'm like, these people are actually a little more balanced toward living life, right? Instead of work, like we are here in the States. It's take responsibility for everything in your life, right? And start asking yourself, I deserve to be happy. How am I going to make myself happy? What are some first steps I want to take? Again, create what you want to do and experience, and then what steps do you need to take? As long as you take a step every day or every week or every month forward, now you're moving. Okay. The important thing is to take the first step and the next step. Okay.
I like it. Again, going back to your website, Dwight, on dwightdalemiller.com. I have it up while we're chatting here on the screen. Talk us through the website. What are some of the things you're hoping for when people come to your site for the first time? Where would you like us to go? I see many options here as far as what you're offering and putting out into the world. Where should we go when we get to the website? Talk us through it.
Well, there's work with me options, right? And you can get on my Calendly. You can schedule a talk. You can send me an email. You can see my group program there, and my coaching or one-on-one programs. So if you're interested in this kind of setting with multiple people, learning the formula for happiness, learning how to be aware of the two voices and maybe where you have resistance or blocks. If you want to learn how to release those and be empowered and moving forward in your life, to me, there's nothing more powerful than that. You can learn that in the group class. You can learn that in my one-on-one coaching.
I like it. It's great. Yeah, there's a lot of great information here on the site. So everyone, go definitely check out dwightdalemiller.com. Dwight, the other thing I'd like to wrap up with is just your encouragement to someone listening who is early in their journey of making that connection, moving out of their head into their heart, and their early days of this. They're looking for some direction, something they can do, an action they can take this week to start the process of finding that peace, right, and that happiness. What can we do? To give us something that we can do right after this episode is over to start that journey if we're brand new to this.
Do we have 2 minutes? We can do it right now, Dave.
Let's do it.
Okay. This is my heart connection process. You'll notice when you look, if you just look out, we all tend to look at one thing, and that's the mind, the animal, or the ego. It's focused on food, survival, and sex. It's just how we how we operate. Now, if you can look out and relax your vision so you're not focused on anything, so it goes broad to both sides, like you're looking out over the ocean and there's nothing to look at, right? It's relaxing. This helps you get out of your mind. So when you relax your vision, you relax your mind, okay? And as you have your vision relaxed, you just start to notice your breath, your tummy going in and out. And then I want you to focus on your heart space and find a feeling of joy, happiness, love. It could be the loved one, an old memory. It could be with a pet. It could be a place. It could be your favorite food. It doesn't matter. And I want you to feel that in your heart as your vision is relaxed and you're noticing your breath, okay? And you'll find it's very hard to think when you're in here and you're feeling. When you're feeling, you're present. You're grounded, okay? This is also your guidance system, your factory installed default guidance system, right? Trust your gut, trust your feeling, right? This is where I want you to spend as much time as you possibly can. And as soon as you find yourself too mental, or maybe your mind keeps dragging you through the mud over and over, you just go back to the heart, okay? And it was a battle for me. I was very mental. I burned all my hair off with that mental energy, okay? Like I said, if I can shift, anyone can shift.
Yeah.
And I found the process after a big breakup, and my mind wanted to drag me through the mud over and over again. And I said, nope, I'm going back to the heart, back to the heart, back to the heart. And that's when I developed this process, okay? It's a little bit similar. There's elements of the heart math process that Joe Dispenza uses. I've added other things to it. And with a little practice, you can switch like that, okay?
Wow.
And if you want to write and not have writer's block, you go here.
Same thing. Same thing.
And then just ask questions, because the universe will answer one way or another. They're going to show you the answer. You just need to be paying attention. So again, my writing, I connect here, I get in the flow, and I can write as much as I have time for.
It's amazing. See, and there you go. If you want to know what it's like to work with Dwight, you just had a little taste. Just like that. So now you're like, I want more. So then you have to head over to dwightdalemiller.com, buy the books, get in the calendar, and talk to Dwight. It's a great resource. He's a great person to talk to. I like your little laugh that you do as well, Dwight, as you unpack something. You're like, hee hee, and the little giddy comes out of you. I'm like, that is so cool. I can tell that you are a very focused person and that you know what your role is in this world. And you're learning even more about yourself in the process. So it's amazing to have you here as an author on the show.
Well, I'm honored to be here and to be of service, Dave. I love the opportunity to share. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Everyone, all the information's in the show notes, dwightdalemiller.com. Please go and click the links and go and reach out to Dwight. Let him know you heard him on the show. And I'm sure he'd love to talk to you as well. So again, Dwight, thank you so much for doing this.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Jumping here at the very end, I want to thank you for coming. We have listeners around the world, and I got to tell you, as a podcaster, it is so great to hear back from the people who listen to the show. Now, you are still here. The podcast's over. Like, we're sweeping up and putting the chairs away. You're still here. So, hi. I would love to talk to you. No, I really, really would. I would love to hear your voice. I would love to hear from you through email. You can do all that at livingthenextchapter.com. I say it fast because I love it. Living the Next Chapter. It's the name of the podcast. .com. How's that for easy? Right? Right. So come on over there and let's have a conversation. You can set up time in my calendar. You can, air quote here, book time in my calendar, book next chapter. Let's have a conversation. Thanks for being here. See you on the next one. Cheers.
Hey there, fellow parent. If you're anything like me, balancing screen time for our kids is a constant struggle. That's why I want to share a little secret with you, KidsPod. It's this amazing app I found that's packed with podcasts just for kids. Imagine stories, learning, and fun, all without the screen. It's been a game changer in our house, keeping my kids engaged and their imaginations running wild. And guess what? It's completely free. So download KidsPod today. Trust me, it's a decision you won't regret.